Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 390 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. We're going to be live hacking on some Firefox stuff. Going to be tinkering around in the source code, continuing our journey to document the customizable toolbar stuff for Firefox Desktop. And maybe, if we have time, I was thinking it might be neat if we could see whether or not the linting, the ESLint JS doc stuff we've been adding, or rather not ESLint, the JS doc stuff we've been adding, which is valid JS doc according to ESLint anyways, will give us the ability to get some level of static type checking via the TypeScript utility, which accepts reading normal script as opposed to just TypeScript script files. So I'm hoping we can try that today. We'll see how far we get. I'll start by sharing my screen as per usual. Hey, it's January 15th, 2025. A reminder, no plant survives breakfast. I think I know how today is gonna go. I think I know what might go down, but I could be wrong. In fact, I just realized that there's like a little bit of a, there, I gotta move my camera a little bit because there's like a little white little lip of my green screen showing above. That stuff happens. And so no plan survives breakfast. We're just gonna adapt and roll with the punches as they come. And that's the first rule. That's the first rule of Joy of Coding. The second rule is the agenda that we're looking at, this handy dandy thing with all these links that, you know, I'll update as the episode proceeds. You have access to it. If you're watching this on Mozilla, check out the details section over there. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out the video description down below. And if you're watching this on Twitch, check out the channel details for a link to the agenda. And like, as I update it, this little spinny will spin. If you reload the agenda, you'll get the most up-to-date version. Okay, so we're continuing our journey to document the customizable UI code. And last week, we'd completed documenting customizable.sys.mjs. We finished it. So that was a rough one. It took us, I think, 3 episodes or so to do, if you don't include the break we took to look at the AGS adventure game engine. So let's take a look at the next one, which is customizable widgets.sys.mjs. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to rebase. I'm going to check out Bookmark Central. I'm going to pull the latest. Make sure we've got the latest and greatest from upstream. And then we are going to rebase our documentation changes on top of Bookmark Central. Let's go ahead and do that. Check out. Now, what was the branch name? I think it was customizable UI documentation. It was this. So go ahead and check that out. And we'll go ahead and rebase on Bookmark Central. Let's see what it says. Hey, easy peasy. It seemed to like it. So I'll go ahead and do an artifact build. And let's, while we're waiting for that, open up the right folder here. Not test cluster. We're talking about browser. Browser, components, customizable UI. That's this stuff. And we've documented this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and last but not least, we documented this one. And we have gone through and cleaned up customizable UI.sys.mjs, but there might still be some things that need documentation in here. So we'll look at that soon, but this is the one I was hoping we could document today. Let's see how many lines we're talking about. About 695 lines. Smurfd asks, is it luck or skill to most of the time on stream rarely have merge conflicts? Well, that's a good question. I tend to work on stream. I tend to work on areas that are quieter, that there's not a whole lot of activity going on in. Because if there's a whole lot of activity going on there, then that means that it's not good. It's maybe not good fodder for a project that I'm hoping to kind of see from beginning to middle and end on stream and be something that you see the entirety of. Otherwise, like if I'm working on something, and I might switch over to this because I've done this a few times, but like if I'm working on something that's a little more critical on the critical path, then I'll work on it even when the stream is not occurring. And then, a week later I'll be like, well, it's done, or here's where I am now. And maybe that's interesting. And if that's something you want to see more of, send me a message. But in the same way that the jump list stuff that we did in 2023 and 2024, kind of you got to see the beginning, the whole thing, beginning, middle, and end. I'm doing this documentation stuff, beginning, middle, and end. You can see it, the whole story on the stream, and because of that, I'm in a quieter part of the code base, or like in order to do that, I chose a quieter part of the code base to do this exercise. So let's go ahead and take a look at customizable widgets. Is there something in here? Like what are we talking about? Like what is this thing? What's your game, customizable widgets? Let's take a quick look at the structure of it. So we import, classic preamble of importing a bunch of other things. We define some lazy getters. We define some lazy preference getters. We have like a utility function at the very top that doesn't appear to be exported. And then we export this array of customizable widgets. And I think that is the big sort of useful thing here. And these customizable widgets are objects that describe a lot of our built-in buttons. So for example, let's pick a simple one here. The print button. What it does is this puts the there's a button inside of the palette. I don't think it is in the toolbar by default. But if we choose to customize our toolbar, and we'll see in the palette, there is a print button. This print button, the whole definition of it is right here. And it says, okay, this is its ID. This is the L10N ID for like the tooltip, print this page. This is the shortcut ID. Presumably that's the keyboard shortcut ID. And then there's some attribute here. And then on created, we say, okay, the button that gets created for the window, we're going to set its command attribute to this command. And that's the thing that actually does toggling of print preview, so that if I go here and I hit print, I get the print preview of this page, which, it's not the greatest print preview. There's like, I think this is because of like the something to do with their toolbar. It's not printing nice. There is a way, I think, of using the simplified mode, basically reader mode, to render the page, and that's sometimes nicer for printing. Anyways, that's the print button. So this is interesting because the object itself, or the array itself, is interesting. Hey, this is an array of a bunch of built-in widgets. It's not exhaustive. There are some that are defined in our markup. We have a mixture of dynamically registered ones like this with script, and there are ones that are declared in our markup. And then they're like that's somewhat interesting, and the structure of this is definitely interesting. I believe the structure here is ultimately what is passed to register widget, or register add widget, or register. Well, who uses customizable widgets, and what does it do? Customizable widgets. .sys.mjs. It's imported by a number of things, but particularly customizable UI. And what we do is, there's something called create built-in widget, and we pass in each widget definition. And this is the sort of thing that I would want to be documented. It currently isn't inside of customizable UI. And then there's a normalization step, and then what do? We add it to the palette. Normalize widget that like makes sure that all of the right properties are set up on it, and then we construct it, and then we add it to the palette. All right. Types. You noticing this? This TypeScript types. Import type of customizable UI, which is type of import known modules. I see. Namespace. Where's this from? Greg Tatum in October. I see. They were starting to tinker with using TypeScript in dev tools a few years ago. This is interesting. Okay. So what I'm just thinking, like, we're defining these things, and I think what I ultimately want to do is point at other documentation that sort of declares what this structure's definition is. So now that I think about it, we may actually want to go back, and instead of documenting customizable widgets right now, we might actually want to document customizable UI. In particular, the private methods, the things that are not, because like a bunch of these are documented, but a bunch of them are not. And the things that are documented tend to be the public methods that are exposed on the exported object. Those are documented really nicely. The internal stuff is not as well documented, and maybe it should be. Not so that consumers can manipulate the internals or violate principle of least knowledge, but so that people hacking on this stuff can make changes and be somewhat confident that they're not breaking the world. So yeah, I'm thinking we might have to start documenting this stuff. We did it with an auto class customizable UI. Now, one option we have is to not actually include it in the published documentation for the module, but to have the JS doc stuff exist just in the code. That's an option. This is just an object. Export var. This is the publicly exposed interface. Yeah. Encapsulation. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start documenting this thing. This is the internal private implementation of most of customizable UI, of the customizable UI API. This is intentionally not exported, but is instead called directly from within this module via the exported customizable UI object as a way of which allows us to get a type of encapsulation. Okay, so we're going to start documenting these bits and pieces. And one thing to note, initialize, yeah. Some of these methods will have analogs within the public one because it's just like forwarding the call. So for example, it's so interesting because they're like private event handlers in the publicly exposed. Like there's this mixture of old school and new school JavaScript in here. Flow info. Init. Oh, this is the overflowable toolbar. Is what I'm looking at right now. Okay. Yeah. These things. So the customizable UI exported implementation. Sometimes it's just like, this is an example of something just forwarding. And so what I might do is be like, hey, param, this is a string, this is a document, and it returns, it does have a return value. Why doesn't this thing document its return value? Returns, what does it return? I think it returns a DOM node. The created spring spacer or separator node. And then what we can do is we can say, okay, C customizable UI create special widget. So we don't have to like duplicate it. The underlying implementation customizable UI to create special widget. Okay. So that's an example of one that we'd want to document like that. So as we go through, we're going to want to see if there are existing instances of those methods that are just forwarding along so that we can just redirect. I think that's what I'm planning on doing here. Okay, so this initialize one is not called from customizable UI. This is main entry point to initializing the customizable UI singleton. This is called at the end of this module, the very first time this module is loaded anywhere, is evaluated. Okay, this is called once. The very first time. Evaluate via a call at the very end of this module file. The entry point, this is called once the very first time this module is evaluated anywhere via a call at the end at this of this module file. No return value, it looks like, so we can move on. But what does it do, actually? Sorry. This sets up listeners for observers registers built-in widgets and loads the saved customization state from the preferences. What else does it do? Yeah, okay. I think that's it. And performs any migration on that state, on that loaded state. Okay, on enabled. So I presume this is an implementation of, yeah, add-on manager, add-on listener. I think we saw one of these earlier in, where was it? Customizable UI was there. There's one in customize mode. Seriously? I thought there was one. Did we remove this for? I think we did. I think we removed it for some reason. We realized that none of this was actually used. So I think we removed it intentionally. Is any of this used? Oh yeah, so that we can like restore the theme. Okay. So this is the lockpicking lawyer. On enabled. Let's see if there's any. Yeah, this is an add-on listener. Implements on enabled the method on for the add-on listener interface. Called when an add-on is marked as enabled. And I believe maybe add-on internal. The add-on that was enabled. Okay, built-in areas. Now, why is that underscored if we are if we're a private method or a private if we're not exposed externally? Why would that be underscored? I don't think it's necessary, honestly. So I'm gonna remove that. Get built-in areas. So this is a type that returns a set, and the set, a set of strings. So it returns a set, a new set that contains the IDs of all built-in areas, customizable areas. Toolbars. replace. Okay. Returns a new set that contains the IDs of all built-in customizable toolbar areas. And that's also type set string. Define built-in widgets. So this doesn't actually take any methods, or take any arguments rather, and has no return value, but goes through the list of widgets defined in customizable widgets and registers them with customizable UI so that they can be used. Line, there's this like complexity issue. Yeah, because we're doing migrations. Update for new version. Wait a second, testing. There is something here that I'm just remembering, that there was something exported. Sometimes we export the internal thing to make testing easier. It's kind of this anti-pattern. But like, customizable UI internal. There was something at the end here. Get customizable target, get test only internal property. So you can actually get at customizable UI internal. And who uses this? Save play. Yeah, okay. Save state. All right. Well, that's okay. If it was calling into one of the things that we'd changed, we would need to update it as well. So what does this do? Does this return something? Returns undefined. Returns nothing. There's no return value. Runs. How does this work? Press, we don't try to arrange these later. Current version. Save state current version. Runs any necessary migrations on the current saved state, saved customization state to get us to K version, to the K version state, to a K version compatible state. Okay. This is an interesting one. We only had this around for when we transitioned to Proton, long ago. I don't know how necessary this is anymore, but I am going to a separate state migration method for when we introduced the Proton retheme in, what year would that have been? Oh boy. 2021. Because the Proton retheme was toggleable via a pref, it was important to have the migration separated out. Migration separated out. This is like most old migrations, this is probably a historical artifact at this point. Well, these old migrations can probably be removed if there are any watershed releases where this would have to have run. For people who don't know what a watershed release is, a watershed release is when it's a special kind of release that you must update to before you can update to any newer versions. So every now and then we'll have a watershed. If there's like important migration stuff that occurs in a particular release. So if you're on version 131 and you've disabled updates or you haven't turned on your computer in a while and the most recent version is 150, then there might be a watershed at 138. So your 131 will download 138 first, run it, and then go and get 150. It won't like do every version. Like we don't want to make it so that you have to like update to 130, then 131, then 132, then 133, 134. Like we'll make sure that you only do any necessary watershed updates, and then you can like skip ahead. That's how that works. Mark obsolete built-in button seen. Obsolete built-in buttons. Buttons removed from built-in versions. They were removed. K version must be bumped anytime a new ID. When upgrading, checks to see if any buttons were removed. Button definitions were removed. Built-in button definitions were removed, marked obsolete. See over obsolete. Built-in buttons. Upgrading update state if necessary. If the version equals the ID, version is K version. Definitions were just removed, marked obsolete for K version. If so, marks those buttons as seen. just removed marked out for K version. The current K version. Place new default widgets in area. So what is, oh man, this is complicated too. So I believe the argument is a string, a name. Yeah. Okay. String. The ID of the area to place the default widgets within. So what does this do? And what does it return? I don't think it returns anything. Place new default widgets in area. So given an area, there's some logic in here. To see if the area has any default placements. Right. If widgets, if a new area or new default widgets were defined for an area, if a new area was defined, or new default widgets for any area are defined, this reconciles the placements of those new default widgets with the existing customization state, customization and toolbar state of the browser. To play it, the ID of the area to reconcile the default widget state for. Get customization target. Okay, that's easy. So that can be a DOM node or null. Given a DOM node, return, it's either going to return a DOM node or null. Will attempt to resolve it to the customization to the associated customization target for that DOM node. For example, a panel may for the DOM node via the given a customizable DOM node. A DOM node with the customizable attribute will attempt to resolve it to the associated customization target for that DOM node via its customization target attribute. If no such attribute exists, the DOM node itself is returned. If the DOM node is null or is not customizable or cannot be resolved to a customization target, then null is returned. The DOM node to resolve to a customization target, DOM node. The customization target, DOM node, or null if one cannot be found. Okay. Wrap widget. Keep going. Given a customizable widget ID, finds, creates, and returns a group wrapper widget group wrapper, either a widget group wrapper or a Zool group wrapper for that widget, depending on how it's defined, depending on how it's provided, which is provided. This wrapper is then cached and returned for future calls for that same ID, widget ID string, the ID of the customizable widget to get the widget group wrapper / Zool group wrapper for returns widget group wrapper or Zool group wrapper, or null if the customizable widget ID cannot be resolved to a particular provider, to null is returned. The group wrapper for the widget, or null if no such wrapper can be found. Okay. Register area. How big is this file, out of curiosity? Or not this file, but this object. Let's take a quick look here. We started on line 275. Let's see how long it is. 275. $275 down to 4491. Do a quick number crunch there. We're talking about just over 4,000 lines, and we're documenting. Some of which might already have documentation, but we might be at this for a little while. I'll tell you what, let's go to 2 o'clock, and then one of the things I wanted to see is whether or not we can already make use of some of the TypeScript stuff. I was just curious to see if what we've already added gives us some of the static, like the type safety and the type checking that is kind of like the advantage, or do we have to like do all of this first? All right. Register area. Registers a customizable area with customizable UI. customizable UI system. The name will be the string. This is like the ID of the area to register. Must be an alphanumeric string with only dash or underscore separators. Start. What does this mean? I need to quickly understand this regex pal. Test string, test. So no spaces. That's it. It's just like, yeah. I wish quantifier match one or more of the preceding token. I see. I mean, so like this, same thing, right? Yeah. This is typically the DOM ID of the area. Properties. Aha, okay, so properties is an object. We may need to be a little clearer on what keys are in this project, in this object. And then this is a Boolean. True if the area is being registered by the browser itself rather than an external caller like an add-on. This is external caller. This is a holdover from the bygone era where add-ons could register their own areas. So we convert this property object into a map. And I wonder if we already have a definition. Yeah, that we've already got this one, register area. So I should really just see see customizable UI.register area. See customizable UI.register area for the expected properties, supported properties. Do we ever call register area internal only default collapse? When do we call register area true? Oh, here in initialization. Okay. think that's fine. Unregister area. This will be similar. So C customizable UI unregister area. Is that how that works? I feel like I'm C. Yeah. And then what's the definition here? The name. Registers an area registered with register area. Register toolbar node. So this is one where we need to kind of like flesh out the argument here, toolbar. C customizable UI register toolbar node. Toolbar is a DOM node. It returns nothing. New toolbar. Customizable toolbar area. Param DOM node a toolbar. The Zool toolbar node to register. Will restore state in the area. Allow the user to customize it in customer. Otherwise, deal with it until the area has been registered. Register toolbar node. It's Zool toolbar, right? Toolbar, yeah. Update specials for built-in toolbar. Okay, that is not external. Update specials. What does this do? We must have a built-in toolbar that's in the default state. We need to make sure that all the special nodes are correct. So for each placement, we check out all of the specials. Oh, if there are any that are special, then we pass along the specials. Okay. So it'll go through the toolbar's children, find any that is special without a skip and toolbar set. Wait, what? Kid.id. Oh, well. Oh, I see. I see. We're assigning. Okay. For each special node in a toolbar. So a special node is a separator, a string, a separator, a spring, a spacer, or any other customizable UI special and any ID that starts with customizable UI special. Okay, is special widget. Any spring, spacer, or separator or element with an ID prefixed with k special widget prefix. Makes assigns the unique ID from the saved state to the DOM nodes. So that's going to be a DOM node toolbar, the Zool toolbar node to update the special widget children IDs for special IDs. This is an array. An array of strings. An array of special node IDs from the saved placements state. These unique IDs are things like, let's look at an example. If we look at this spacer right here, the ID is like customizable special spring 1. Or six, yeah. These are things like returns nothing. Okay. Build area. All right, this one is also not exposed externally, and this is fairly important, this one. All right, let's finish documenting this one, and then we'll try that TypeScript thing. You know, I was a little worried because it's like, oh man, we got to get to 4,216 from 275. Or like we've got over 4,000 lines, but like we've already covered over 1,000 lines. If you subtract the starting line, we've covered over 1,000. So like, I think we're making decent progress. Okay. So we're gonna build the area. Now, that's good, but it also means that a lot of these methods are really long, which is not so good. Those migration ones, though, are, I think, long on purpose because we got all the old migrations still sticking around in them. Eventually, we should throw those out. But okay, so what is this doing? It's going through. It's defining a bunch of things. We take our area and the placements, and we're gonna make sure that the nav bar is not collapsed. And then we're going to go through each of these. Oh, man. build area. So this does the work of causing a area, causing the customizable area with the causing a customize. This does the work of causing customizable area to reflect the placements that have been computed for that area. This means taking the initial DOM state, initial default DOM state of the area, and then modifying it to match the saved state, the computed state, either the one that had been saved within preferences from either the state that had been saved in preferences or the state computed after doing runtime checks during initialization. Register panel node, build area, rebuild registered areas. Area, string, the ID of the customizable area to build. Placements, that's going to be a string array. The IDs of the widgets, customizable widgets that are expected to be in the customizable area. And then DOM node. The node associated with the area as opposed to the customization target within that area. Container. And then there's no return value. This causes doing a building an area causes a batch state update. Begin batch update. End batch update. I don't think this is actually worth mentioning. Okay. All right, let's stop there for just a quick second. Let's see more about this TypeScript stuff. So my understanding is that there is there's some documentation around. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Details, map background. Where's the proof of concept? Here. Here's the proof of concept. And here, tsconfig, at the root of a TypeScript project, configures how to find and check files, defines available globals, types, and various utilities. Okay, so are there any existing tsconfigs in the tree? Yes, there's one. This is the testing one. Check.js, no emit, true target, types, gecko, paths. Okay, catch all redirect for other modules. So we might have to like quickly build some stuff like this out. And then there's like this types folder. Globals. Content utils, okay. TypeScript can be used on plain JavaScript files documented with js.comments to check types without a build step. This is a proof of concept to show viability and benefits of doing this for a typical component. You also use an editor which supports the language server. Other than continuing to use JS docs, trying to follow guidelines below, and hopefully remember to run TSC occasionally. For now, there's explicitly no expectation that all new code must be fully typed or pass type check on every commit. If you're in a hurry or run into confusing type problems, feel free to slap a TS ignore. Guidelines. TS ignore. Okay. Let's see what happens if we add a TypeScript, a tsconfig file. So let's commit what we have. So we've added a bit of documentation there. Git add browser components customizable UI, customizable UI.sys.mjs, and we're gonna call this like add JS documentation for customizable UI internal. Yeah, I'll do Sam Foster for now. Okay. So a little upset on some of these things. Line 843. Right. What's worried about? Should be no multiple asterisks. Oh, whoops. Okay, sorry. Missing JS.param type on 5540. Missing param type. Missing param area type on 5450. Sorry, 5450. Right. Param string. We're gonna have to reformat all that stuff later. I realize now. Well, might as well do it now. The return an array containing widget IDs. So that's going to be string all right, and then invalid JSDoc tag on 5451. That's right in here. Okay. Returns expected zero trailing lines at 5452. Right, so let's try that again. Git commit amend. Okay, so let's try our experiment. I'm going to copy toolkit extensions, or components extensions, ts config to browser components customizable UI. Now I'm going to open that. I didn't commit it. I'm not adding it to tracking just yet because this is just a local experiment. I'm just curious to see what we can do here. Compiler options, paths. I'm going to need to probably fill a bunch of this stuff out. I'm going to just blank it all out right now. I'm going to say like // toolkit components extensions types globals. I'm going to create customizable UI types. And now let's see, like, can I run mock TSC? Is that, or assuming TSC is command TS, we're executing it for you. TypeScript related commands. Okay, TS. Mock TS check toolkit. So I'll do the, let's check the extensions one. What? Mock TS check toolkit components extensions. Right? Okay, there we go. So it looks like they've already got some violations still, or they've since gotten some. Yeah, there's some. They haven't been running their checks. But let's see what happens if I now supply browser components customizable UI. Okay, big list of errors. Let's take a look here. Cannot find module. xbcom utils. All right. So what did they have in here? Did they have xbcom utils? Yeah, they did. Let's put that back. And that's going to be probably that still. So let's try that again. App constants. Cannot find name DOM node. Zool group wrapper. Does not exist on type node. So maybe I've been wrong about using a DOM node. Or is that something that is like, what do they have in here for types? Event emitter. Tab space. Node. Element. There's Zool element. And that's in something called, so under types, I'm going to look for element. It seems like it already understands what an element is. So maybe I should be using element rather than node or DOM node. What happens, for example, if I change open does not exist on type element on line 6747. So fascinating. 6747. That's true. This is an element, but we are using it, and it's it's a special kind of element that we've extended. So we're going to need to like come up with types to describe that there's like an open. But this is so interesting. Like, I can see that it's checking these things. Cannot find name, widget group wrapper. Right, so it's like the it's not assignable. Drag position manager. Weak map is not assignable to type map DOM node. Oh, line 461 on drag position manager. On line 461. I'm saying that it's a weak map. Is not assignable to type. What's gmanager starting as? A type map. So this is a perfect example of something that if I update that, can I do like drag position manager? Why can't I do it like file by file? And then like, let's put that back, that error. Map. No, okay, so I have to run the directory. So if I put weak map back and then search for drag position manager. Yeah, the error, oh wait, no, type weak map is missing the following properties from type. Map, DOM node, DOM rect, read only. Clear for each size entries and 3 more. On line 75. Ah, this should also be a weak map. Drag position manager. See, like we've that was interesting. I realized using this tool, it was able to show me that, hey, you've been assigning weak map even though the documentation says it's a map. That's cool. Good job, TypeScript. There's no -- fix option. They're probably, well, I don't know. Mock ts check -- help. No? Or is there a setup, update? It doesn't look like there's a fix. Build type libs. Building services type lib requires a full Firefox build. Info, DOM-ts, libgecko, DOM. Do we? Tools, types. Do not modify this by hand. So like this is how we define things like, oh, that's so interesting. So from the DOM code allows us to convert WebIDL stuff into these types. That's so cool. Element. That's where element's coming from, probably. Right? Interface. Element. Element, yeah. This is where it's coming from. Woo! That's really cool. Element, prototype element. I don't know what that means. And this stuff, I guess, is being included automatically. That's so neat. That's so neat. Okay, well, I think one of the things I've learned is that DOM node is not correct, and that we're gonna have to do the work if we want to use TypeScript here of making explicit the various expandos the various bits and pieces, bibs and bobs that we assign to these nodes, and that we're going to need to do, like, certain DOM nodes are defined as custom elements, like Moz toolbar. Is that a custom element? Toolbar button, Moz elements button base. Is toolbar in here? Toolbar. What's the definition of a toolbar? Toolbar. Probably be in the same place as toolbar palette item. Just a static item. Just special Zool things. If it's a toolbar palette item or a toolbar button, then it's one of these. If it's a toolbar, is there... Like, what is a toolbar? Now I'm really curious. Run. So if I go gnav toolbox, let's get the nav, the toolbar. Toolbars? No. Gnav toolbar. How do I get the nav toolbar? GURL bar. How do I get the toolbar? All right, I just get element by ID. Or just, yeah, what are you? Okay, what are you? Toolbar, prototype, art constructor. It's a Zool element. I think I knew that. And it has various things assigned to it. It has a collapsed state assigned to it. So is there like a, but I think collapsed is mainly like, it's an attribute, it's like an expando, and then CSS is used to show and hide. I don't actually think there's anything particularly special about toolbars. Like, I don't think there's anything particularly interesting exposed that is unique to toolbars, like special logic. I could be wrong, I could be very wrong. But I think it's just your run-of-the-mill Zool element. It'd be, I wonder, like, is it possible? Zool toolbar. Zool map type. Huh. Browser. Tab, toolbar separator. Toolbar. Zool map type. This is under accessibility. Native name, toolbar name. Get attribute toolbar name. Okay. It's all via the accessibility stuff. Toolbar name. I don't think static atoms, GK add static atoms, toolbar name, toolbar separator, toolbar spring. Like, where are these? defined. App shell. Get elements. What are we doing in here? Oh, it's part of the skeleton UI. Okay. Toolbar spring. How is a toolbar spring defined? Toolbar spring. Form control accessible. Accessibility, toolbar spring. And then via CSS, toolbar spring. It's just this thing here that has just max flex. That's neat. So like who defined lib, like this stuff? Where did that tooling come from? Build DOM. Who came up with this? Zombie. Make it easy to update type libs when changing interfaces. Enable basic types supports. Support Gecko WebIDL. We always just vendor maintain a fork. Use TypeScript DOM lib generator. And this works by here's the header. Convert Mozilla Flavor WebIDL into what IDL parsable. Okay. Okay, so that's interesting. And then parse HTML elements, interfaces. Okay. Convert, merge, and customize WebID element and post-process DTS. So then we get the generator. We merge all this stuff. This is so, and build XPCOM. XPCOM built-ins. Built-in, tsconfig built-in. Buffer source not defined IDL way in Gecko? Huh. Interesting. Trinsics test built-in. Mock commands. Build DOM as result services XPCOM. This is so cool. Sorry, I'm getting really distracted, but like this is so neat to watch this go. And then this is some interface that gets produced. And then this is the test. Is there any way of building the notion of doing it with Zool? I got a feeling no, because like the way we define Zool elements is a lot sloppier. It's not like something that you do with something like WebIDL. Maybe it should be. Maybe it should be. Like it might be nice if we could like have like a certain Zool elements. Yeah, like the Zool tree element, Zool menu element, Zool element, path utils, data transfer. Includes. And then just IDL. There's this whole Chrome registry. These all the underlying components. None of them, they're not like the UI bits and pieces. Although there's something called Zool browser window. But like if we can define some things that are like toolbars and stuff with this. Frames, Chrome utils. Like a Zool frame element has these things. If you could have like a Zool toolbar element. Well, and I'm curious about other types. Like we've got like toolkit, content, widgets, like these things. Let's say like the Moz message bar. Tag name, property. Like this might help us do types. Extends Mozlit element. All right. Well, I got distracted, but I think there's something here. There's something here where we can like start incrementally. If we can get all this JS doc stuff done, we might be able to incrementally improve our types story in the customizable UI code. We already have all of the Gecko like WebIDL types available to us. It's all of the like custom stuff built on top of that we would need to define. And to get that started, you just kind of have to get started. The more you define that stuff, the easier it is. Especially if it's shared. It's less work for future people to do. And the more we can do automatically, like that script that converts all those WebIDL files to types, TypeScript types is really cool. And that's exactly the right approach. You like define your things in one place, and then you have utilities that can convert those definitions into the other forms that you need for tools like the TypeScript compiler or the WebIDL bindings generator or what have you. That is awesome. All right, I think I'm going to call it there. Hey, thanks so much for watching episode 390 of The Joy of Coding. We documented not customizable widgets. We documented customizable UI internal in customizable UI.sys.mjs. And we did this. We did this a little bit. Neat. I think there's quite a bit of work here to continue to support this, but like I can kind of see like maybe customizable UI is not the right place to start. You start at maybe a smaller component, like the extensions team did, and you get that one like with type safety, and then you like spread out from the smaller ones, and then eventually approach the bigger ones as we build out more of the types infrastructure that we need. But I think this is really cool. Let me know what you thought of this episode. There's a rate this episode link here in the agenda. Let me go ahead and drop a link there into the chat. Link to rate this episode. This is a great way of letting me know what you thought. Do you like the series? Do you like the stream? Did you not like the stream? What can I do better? What can I do more of, less of, etc., etc.? And if you've got questions, things you want me to try and answer during the stream about Firefox, Mozilla, the code base, JavaScript, C++, Rust, open source software development, software industry in general, whatever. You can send me questions and I can try and answer them if I know the answers, because I don't have all the answers. But we can try and figure stuff out. And with that, I think I'm going to call it there. Thanks again, everybody. Have yourselves a great week. I shall see you next week with episode 391. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.